Hey, William here. Listen, most people are hunting the same reliable cars and quietly overpaying for them. Meanwhile, a handful of models are sitting in plain sight, ignored, misunderstood, forgotten, and absurdly durable. These aren't cool cars. They're not trendy, but they survive abuse that kills everything else, and right now, they're financial blind spots. Toyota Highlander, 2001 to 2007. Nobody shops for an early Highlander. They end up in one. Usually after a newer SUV starts lighting up the dash like a Christmas tree, that's the pattern I keep seeing. Someone swears they'll only drive it for a year or two, and then 5 years pass and it's still quietly doing everything asked of it. The heart of this thing is the 3.0-liter V6, about 220 horsepower, paired to a 5-speed automatic that's allergic to stress. No turbo drama, no cylinder deactivation nonsense, just steady torque and calm shifts. In real life, that means you're merging without anxiety and cruising all day without heat buildup or weird transmission behavior. Highway fuel economy sits in the low 20s, which doesn't sound impressive until you realize how little maintenance anxiety comes with it. Here's where buyers mess up. They focus too much on mileage and not enough on maintenance history. A Highlander with 200,000 miles and a documented timing belt service is a safer bet than a lower mile example that skipped it. Suspension wear is the real tax here. Struts, bushings, rear control arms, especially on cars that live through winters. The drivetrain almost always outlasts the rest of the vehicle, so clunks and floaty handling are your negotiation leverage, not deal breakers. Inside, nothing feels luxurious anymore, but almost everything still works. The climate controls don't glitch, the gauges don't flicker, the door handles don't snap off in your hand. That boring competence is exactly why these are sitting under $6,000, while newer crossovers cost triple and deliver half the lifespan. This is the car for someone who wants reliability without needing to prove anything. It won't impress strangers, but it will quietly outlast trends, tech, and probably your next car too. And speaking of cars people judge too fast, the next one gets dismissed for a completely different reason. Buick LeSabre, 2000 to 2005. People don't reject this car after driving it, they reject it in the parking lot. And that snap judgment is the entire opportunity. Early 2000s LeSabres are still roaming around with mileage that would terrify most buyers, yet they start every morning without negotiation. That's not luck, that's design. The backbone here is the 3.8-liter Series 2 V6, roughly 200 horsepower, mated to a 4-speed automatic that thrives on gentle, consistent driving. This engine is famous for one reason. It refuses to die when treated with basic care. It doesn't need premium fuel, doesn't rely on turbochargers, and doesn't hide its problems. Highway fuel economy regularly lands in the high 20s, sometimes brushing 30 miles per gallon if you keep things calm. Now, the real ownership truth. These cars don't surprise you, they warn you. Intake gaskets and cooling system components are the known weak points. When they fail, they do it slowly. A sweet coolant smell, a small temperature creep, a damp spot under the hood? Fix it early and the repair is inexpensive. Ignore it, and you'll learn why some people think these engines are unreliable. That reputation usually belongs to neglect, not the car. Suspension wear is normal for a full-size front-wheel drive sedan, but parts are cheap and plentiful. Interiors aren't stylish, but they age honestly. Buttons don't fade into symbols. Power accessories keep working. The seats are built for hours, not minutes. This is a car for buyers who value function over image and understand that invisibility can be an asset. Clean examples still trade between $3,000 and $5,000 because demand is low. That price isn't a reflection of quality, it's a reflection of taste. And the next vehicle flips that equation completely because people want it and still manage to overlook what actually matters. Enjoying the golden tips, mate? So grab your phone and help us giving that sneaky subscription, like, and telling me which city are you watching from. Chevy Silverado, GMC Sierra, 1999 to 2006. This truck usually gets judged by how it looks sitting still. Lifted, rusty, loud exhaust, maybe owned by someone who didn't exactly baby it. And that's precisely why so many buyers miss the point. These trucks were engineered for abuse, not admiration. They were built in an era when General Motors assumed owners would overload them, forget maintenance occasionally, and still expect them to show up every morning. The real star here is the Vortec lineup, especially the 5.3-liter V8. Around 290 horsepower, simple fuel injection, no cylinder deactivation, no complicated electronics trying to outsmart physics, paired with a 4-speed automatic that isn't fast, but is brutally consistent. If fluid changes were done even semi-regularly, these drivetrains just keep cycling. Fuel economy isn't pretty, high teens on the highway if you're gentle, but but nobody buys one of these expecting hybrid numbers. Here's the mechanic insight most buyers ignore. Rust matters more than mileage. Frames, brake lines, rocker panels, especially on northern trucks. A 180,000-mile southern truck can be a far better buy than a lower-mile example that lived in salt. The engines rarely fail catastrophically. What kills these trucks is neglect around cooling systems, fuel pumps, and suspension wear. Listen for cold start knock that doesn't go away. That's usually your walk-away signal. Inside, everything feels industrial. Switches are chunky, seats wear out before electronics do. You won't find fancy infotainment, but you also won't be chasing ghost electrical problems. These trucks were meant to be fixed, not replaced. Market prices are still reasonable because everyone is chasing newer body styles with more tech and more problems. You can still land a solid example between $5,000 and $8,000 if you're patient. This is for buyers who actually use a truck, not just pose with one. And after this kind of brute force reliability, the next vehicle feels almost civilized, but it hides its toughness in a very different way. Lexus RX330 2004 to 2009. This is the car people buy when they're tired of being disappointed. Not excited, disappointed. Usually by a European luxury SUV that promised sophistication and delivered warning lights. The RX330 doesn't enter the conversation with swagger. It enters when someone just wants peace. Under the hood is the 3.3-liter V6, making around 230 horsepower. No turbochargers, no experimental tech. Just a smooth, naturally aspirated engine paired with a 5-speed automatic that shifts like it has nowhere urgent to be. The driving experience is deliberately uneventful, and that's the design philosophy. In real-world use, highway fuel economy lives in the low to mid-20s, which is impressive considering how little effort the engine feels like it's making. Here's the ownership angle most buyers miss. These cars reward boring maintenance, oil changes, transmission fluid services, timing belt done on schedule, and they simply don't escalate problems. Skip those basics, and repairs get expensive fast, because parts wear out evenly. The biggest inspection point is the timing belt service history. If it's been done, you're ahead. If not, budget for it immediately. Suspension components and wheel bearings can wear, especially on higher mile examples, but failures are gradual, not sudden. Interiors are where these quietly win. Leather holds up. Buttons don't peel. Screens don't randomly fail. Everything feels overbuilt without being flashy. You'll hear fewer rattles at 200,000 miles than many newer SUVs at 80,000. That's not accidental. Market reality is interesting. Because it looks conservative and blends into traffic, prices stay reasonable. Clean examples still trade between $6,000 and $9,000, even as newer luxury crossovers hemorrhage value. This is ideal for buyers who want comfort, reliability, and zero drama, and don't need to explain their purchase to anyone. And that restraint sets up the last vehicle perfectly, because the next one is loud in reputation, obvious in appearance, and still wildly misunderstood. Ford Crown Victoria, 1998 to 2011. Everyone thinks they understand this car, and almost everyone is wrong. They see one and assume ex-cop abuse, endless idling, and a hard life. What they miss is that this car was designed for that life. The Crown Vic wasn't built to feel special. It was built to survive situations that destroy normal cars quietly and repeatedly. The 4.6-liter modular V8 is the definition of unstressed. Around 230 horsepower in civilian form, backed by a 4-speed automatic that values durability over speed. No turbos, no direct injection, no clever shortcuts. These engines tolerate heat, idle time, and high mileage in a way modern drivetrains simply don't. Real-world fuel economy sits in the low 20s on the highway, which is better than most people expect for a full-frame V8 sedan. Here's the buyer mistake: avoiding former fleet cars without understanding them. Police interceptors were serviced on strict schedules. Fluids changed, problems documented, parts replaced early. What matters is idle hours and cooling system condition, not just mileage. Listen for timing chain noise on cold starts, and check suspension wear. Control arms and rear air suspension on civilian models can be tired. None of it is exotic or expensive. The ownership experience is old school in the best way. Rear-wheel drive, body-on-frame construction, steering that feels honest, not filtered through layers of electronics. Interiors are basic, but resilient. Switches don't fail. Gauges don't disappear. This is a car you can fix with common tools and common sense. Market prices remain shockingly low. You can still find solid examples between $4,000 and $7,000 because most buyers want something newer, smaller, and more complicated. This car is for someone who values durability, space, and mechanical honesty over trends. And that's the common thread with all 5 cars here. They aren't exciting purchases, they're smart ones. These are the vehicles people end up loving accidentally because they just keep showing up. If you're shopping with your head instead of your ego, these aren't boring cars. They're gold mines. Most people don't lose money on cars because they chose the wrong model. They lose it because they chased approval, tech, or trends that don't age well. Every car in this video shares the same quiet advantage. They were built before reliability became a marketing word instead of an engineering goal. They don't beg for attention. They don't pretend to be something they're not. They just keep showing up, year after year, while newer, flashier options quietly fall apart. Right now, that gap between reputation and reality is where the money is. Not forever, just long enough for buyers who pay attention. If this kind of breakdown helps you shop smarter, stick around. There's a lot more value hiding in plain sight, and most people still aren't looking.